Now, one of the things about seated poses, and this is something when it comes to weight, and especially with women where you're putting weight down on the body, I don't care if they're sitting on their bottom, their hips and thighs in a normal seat, or even coming down on their arm, you have to be careful that wherever the body weight rests is on a bone. Because if it's over a fleshy part of the body, in the forearm, if somebody leans like against an arm of a chair on their forearm, their arms just get huge. Same way with the seat, the thighs and the legs. If you sit someone flat on their bottom, everything widens out and everyone looks thicker. In a pose like this, it's not too bad because the body weight is resting back, her legs are up off of the chair sitting Indian style, so it's not too bad because the legs are kind of hiding the bottom. But where normally what we do is in a pose like this, we'll have the person roll over onto their hip. Now, what you can do, Angela, just like you were a few minutes ago on the Harley, you just, legs come this way, you roll over, you'll stay up on your arm, and then let this leg come over here. And then bend it back, your foot, and then the knee stays there. Take this hand out here. Good. Now, a couple of things. In doing a pose like this, by rolling her over on her hip, okay, and like I said, Angela is not a large person, so a lot of these things, you know, a lot of people say, what's the point? Well, you have to realize that I and you and her mother may look at her and go, oh, she's perfect, okay? When it comes to a woman looking at her own picture, that's a whole nother story. And even though someone's very thin, they don't want areas that they worry about, like their hips and thighs, to look any bigger than they are, and usually appreciate it if they're a little smaller. So by doing this, rolling over on the hip, it slims the hip that's on the downside. By bringing the one knee over the other, it tapers the legs down to make everything look as thin as possible. Okay, now with her up on her arm like this is fine, but now if we bring her arm down, just go down on your elbow. Now here it's very natural to come down directly on your elbow bone. If this were a chair though, we'd make sure it didn't hit the forearm. Now you just put your hand flat on the ground, bring it back towards you. Good. Now, another thing that happens in a lot of these poses when we're doing them, again, Angela doesn't need it, but in a lot of people, they have tight jeans on which are cutting in and kind of cutting into the waistline, and it automatically makes them look like they have a stomach, whether they do or don't. In that case, we always look for things to hide the area. If it was a major problem, we would change the pose and bring a knee up to hide the stomach area. If it were just a minor problem to where the girl's jeans were a little too tight and cutting in a little bit, we would just take the right hand here to the wrist over there. Perfect. And the arm would follow that waistband and hide it from view. So those are the things that you need to be looking at as you're doing poses, especially full length or 3/4, because there's no reason to do a pose that a person won't like themselves in. We have to create poses that provide people, let's say, a version of reality. One of the things I'll be demonstrating in just a little while, and I'll be doing the poses, is a technique that I call variations. And with variations, what I do is I will go through, especially if a client isn't decided or hasn't picked out a specific idea out of the sample books in front, I'll go through 4, 5, 6 poses that are basically similar, but all have kind of a different look. And that way, I'll do it myself first. If a client's, you know, Angela's been in several times, she has gone through this before to where she will easily go through it. I'll do the ones that are head and shoulder, but the idea is it not only shows your client different variations of an idea or pose, it also helps keep poses kind of fresh in your mind. I don't have a problem when I'm doing sessions remembering poses because I'm constantly doing them for clients. So it's very easy for me to do them, even come up with new poses simply because I do them all the time. So we're going to have her go through some of the ideas. Just a simple white floor, white jeans, just variations. That way keep this foot tucked under. Basically, yeah, just like that. Now bring that foot back up there and then roll over more on this hip. Now elbow comes to your knee. That's good. Perfect. Now in a pose like this, the good point is when you start bringing up the legs, you're hiding or disguising the waistline area. Okay, so it's very slimming to women, especially if they have tighter jeans on. So we're going to go through these and I'll be taking